Football is back. A rivalry renewed as Jenks and Owasso take the field. Unquestionably, two of the greatest coaches in Oklahoma high school football history.
I don't think I ever thought I would coach another game against Alan Trimble.
It's football season.
The two creating one of the greatest rivalries in the entire country. Tonight, their first matchup in more than a decade. It's number 2 and number 4 going head-to-head in probably the most compelling coaching rivalry the state has ever seen. This is Friday Night Live.
And welcome into another season of Friday Night Live, everybody. It's week 0. Caden McFarland alongside Big Al Jerkins. Retired, but you can't quit us.
Kinda.
He's here.
No,
He's here every Friday night, right here on Friday Night Live for our game of the week. We had a doozy. You heard about the storyline right there. Alan Trimble and Bill Blankenship, two of the greatest coaches this state has ever seen. For 10 years, they went back and forth, traded state titles. It was fantastic at Jenks and Union. Blankenship back in Oklahoma high school football with Owasso. That was the storyline going in. Al, we have a very different storyline coming out of this
right
night.
Now, it's the raw meat syndrome.
Wow.
Owasso came out here as if their pregame was raw meat. They out-physicaled Jenks like you wouldn't believe.
This is something.
Jenks had one lead, 7-6, and from that point on, Owasso completely controlled the game. They're doing that right now as we near the 5-minute mark, and it is 48-10, Owasso on top. So let's take a look at some of the highlights of how this occurred. Jenks coming out, the new field, Alan Trimble Stadium, and it was a big night, standing room only crowd, but it was Owasso on the board first. After Jenks couldn't do anything in the first possession, Willie Kenny goes to Jacob Wright for a touchdown, and like that, it's Owasso. They missed the extra point. That was their only blemish of the night. It was 6-0. Jacob Shelley scores for Jenks with the extra point. It makes it 7-6. So Jenks is on top here midway through the first quarter of play. But then Owasso strikes right back, 8-yard run, Bryce Cabrera. And after one period of play, Owasso had a 13-7 lead. They would never trail again. In the second quarter, after a Jenks field goal made it 13-10, Owasso's Kinney, I didn't think he had this strong of an arm, but he really showed strength today, and his receivers were making some unbelievable catches. Cabrera in the corner for one end zone touchdown, and then after Owasso recovered a Jenks fumble at the 35, it is another touchdown. This time Jacob Wright with a great play in the corner of the end zone. It was 27-10, but what could have been the play of the game, and I know it's only week 1, but this could be the play of the season because of what it did for Owasso and what it did for Jenks. The highly touted Josh Proctor, as Jenks is about ready to score at the end of the first half, Proctor comes up with an interception, returns it 100 yards for a touchdown. And believe it or not, Owasso led it 34-10 at the intermission. And they haven't been scored on here yet. It is 48-10 as we speak. 4:21 to go.
Let's talk about this a little bit.
Well, the city of Owasso is excited.
You mentioned the physicality. I asked Bill Blankenship before the game, what do you think of your quarterback? He said, I like him. What have you seen from their quarterback tonight? Obviously pretty good.
Well, as I mentioned during the highlights, I didn't think he had this strong of an arm or was that accurate. In fact, he hit Proctor on a fly route and had Proctor in his hands. Proctor dropped the pass. Obviously, Proctor made up for it. But this kid, this Keeney kid, looks like he's the real deal. And you can tell that Bill Blankenship is a quarterback coach. Because he has this team about as poised as it could be for the first week of the season. He talked to us earlier at 6 o'clock. He was afraid only 3 weeks to prepare. Well, if he can prepare this team and it look like this after 3 weeks, he's done one heck of a job.
We know Union is really good, but I think Owasso shows us tonight they can be a state title contender.
Well, it's kind of good in a way to get Owasso, and Broken Arrow too. You know, Jenks and Union have dominated this 6A for years and years and years. It's maybe nice to get some new blood in there, or at least be competitive. And Owasso, competitive. Folks.
What a debut, what a return for Bill Blankenship.